Hello. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this Engineering Lifecycle Management Customer Day, supported by Optimize Engineering. Thank you very much for coming to York Road, and thank you for the guys who came from abroad who brought the lovely sunny weather with them. That's really made the day. Just to be careful when you're out on the patio, don't go too close to the edge. If there is a fire alarm, and I don't think we're expecting a test today, so it will be a proper alarm, please exit the building and meet on the front or outside. I'm really hoping we don't get interrupted. We will be having coffee breaks throughout the day. Coffee is available in the corner, I think, where most people found breakfast, but it's also available over here and in the Wimbledon session over there, and there's another one at the back over there. There are plenty of toilets. The nearest one, I think, is just down that alleyway there. If not, there's one just behind the welcome desk. So I've been working with ELM forever, and it's great to see so many friends and colleagues in the room today. I'm going to hand over now to Mark, who's going to take you through the rest of the presentation, the rest of the day. And if you have any questions, please find me or one of the Optimize team throughout the day. Thank you.
Good morning and welcome. A lot of familiar faces in here and thankfully some new ones. So I hope we've got a really good agenda for you today. So we're going to start off with a product session on the latest and greatest on Future Forward, on IBM, on ELM, on tools. And then we're going to split and we're going to have a tour. You've all got a little dot on your badges. So when we break for that, just look out for the coloured paddle, and then we'll escort you around on the immersive tours. And then we've got a presentation on leveraging AI. So our wonderful IBM AI Hub. So a great presentation on that. Hopefully that will be of interest to you. And then we'll go into have a lunch. We will try and keep things on track as much as possible, although we're already starting a little bit late, but we'll try and keep things on track. So if we start herding you into the room, you know why, really. And then this afternoon, we've got our wonderful Matt Hirschfield is going to present a session on reporting through ELM, so reporting mastery, he's going to call it. And then we have a presentation from our long-term customers from Talent, our clients. So Amar, welcome. Thank you for offering to, being badgered and co-opted into presenting. Well, we'll look forward to that this afternoon. And then we're going to have another immersive tour for the people who haven't done the tour. And then we'll have a networking, sort of a panel session at the end before we have some drinks and nibbles out here at the end. So hopefully that's there we go. Just a quick introduction to your team. So the whole purpose of this day, for those that haven't attended before, we call it a Future Forward Day, a user event. It's all about communication. It's all about sharing ideas. It's all about sharing experiences from people that are maybe more experienced in the tools. So people are just coming on with the tools and help us out. So we're going to talk about AI, as I said, and just try and collaborate, communicate, and share expertise. So go straight in then. Harry, would you like to come and tell us what the latest and greatest on IBM ELM? Back up. Technical issues out here.
That's, are we working here? I think we are. So, I'm just going to keep moving here because they'll find the slides at some point and it doesn't, we'll make this work. My wife tells me there's a lot of feedback from me also, so I'm okay with that. All right. So, hopefully today we'll, oh, I wonder if it's, we'll solve that problem. Hopefully today you'll walk away from here with a little more insight into ELM, where we were, where we are, where we're going. And, it's always changing. So I'm Harry Donaghy. I obviously don't carry the same accent as you all, with the exception of a couple other in the room. I came over from Dallas, Texas. I'm part of the product management team. I'm also the worldwide ELM sales lead. They kind of shift me around. I've been working with the product management team for years. I've been officially part of the product management team now for, I don't know. Forever. No, actually only for a few months officially. They've just been dumping a lot of work on me over a long time. So, here's the thing. In the past, and I'm not sure if I'm too close to something, why they're panicking in the back here. In the past, I wanted to just touch on ELM. ELM's actually a real interesting creature. It goes back, I started playing with ELM back in, what was the predecessor to ELM? Back, came in 1999 into Rational Software Corporation. So Rational Software Corporation ran along until about 2003, at which point we were acquired by IBM. Our main competition was Telelogic. So half of the IBMers in here who are ELM related, half of us came from Rational, half of us came from Telelogic. We hated each other. We would walk in and out of customers. Well, it was actually always funny. I'd be walking in and Jim, who will be coming up next, as I'm walking out, he's coming in, or I'm, vice versa. We knew each other. And we knew there was no hiding why one of us is coming and going. So I'm on vacation in 2008, and I got a phone call saying IBM just acquired Telelogic. All right, what do I do now? Who don't I like now? I have to find a new enemy. So anyway, IBM went and grabbed everybody in North America from Rational and Telelogic, and they did what they thought was a smart thing. They went and sent us all to Vegas. They put us in a basement conference room of the Hilton facility and basically said, you will now be friends. Okay, we're friends. If you have alcohol, we are friends. So we all got together, we presented to each other, and we realized what we already knew. We all live the same world. But as it goes on, we went and tried to figure out, what do we want to call this Rational software stuff and this Telelogic software stuff? And I love how IBM does things. So they get people who don't understand you, and then they give you a name. But at least the first name they kind of gave us, and I'm not sure what it was exactly because we've gone through so many of these, was ALM, Application Lifecycle Management. Then they changed us because of the, terms were changing. Collaborative Lifecycle Management, CLM, AI, or some other things started popping up. Early AI discussions, IoT came up. Oh, we've started having an IoT name. Okay, there's IoT. Finally, we settled somewhere into ELM. All right, now what is this all referring to? Why do we have this? We have the Department of Witness Protection at IBM, where they hide our product names so well, not even you guys can find them. So you can go out and find us, as you need under ELM now, but feel free to Google anything you would like, Rhapsody, Doors, Telelogic, it's all going to show up. Anyway, so let's get back to where we really need to go here. Okay, so this is me. Let's see. All right, so it's amazing. Technology can work with a little piece of plastic. All right, so on the past, present, and future, I wanted to bring this up. This was a slide which I was introduced to and shown recently, and I thought was actually really interesting. It is showing the releases that we have and that we've done over the past several years. And, you know, I've mentioned I've been part of the product management team, but I never realized, all right, I always picked on them, okay? Yes, I needed them, I worked with them, but I never realized just how much was done behind the scenes. And this kind of gives you an idea that over the past 5 versions, we've had 108 releases, okay? So more and more releases are happening. I'll be going over some of the things that are coming. And this kind of gives you an idea of, you know, some things that we're planning, like 702, that's, you know, this is the today going forward. So 702's release schedules are already being laid out. Hey, if anybody is using 702, or yes, I don't, did I say 702? 7.2, look at where I'm pointing, not what I'm saying. 702, if you're using 702, stop. All right, you're not under support, okay? That happened last September. That was a while ago. If you're using 703, that goes end of support this September. So give me a little opportunity to plan. If you need help migrating forward, I would talk to the gentleman over there, or the gentleman in the back, or the nice lady in the back, okay? They can help you migrate up to the latest version, okay? There's a selfless pitch for you, even though you didn't ask for it, Mark. So, all right, so anyway, this kind of gives you an idea of what we've been doing. And so what I want to do is touch on a couple items first that are not spoken about a whole lot, and I don't know how much you've known, or actually start with this. We're still holding to the same core values that we have been doing, from requirements, design, test, all right? The important features, things, having a digital thread, being able to support agile engineering, but some of the areas where we're adding to this. So all these things are the same thing that we've had, and we're adding to them. But some areas where we are doing more is going to be some of the AI features that we're rolling in. Jim's going to be digging into that. There's a lot to be said about that. I'm not sure. Jim and I will probably play off a little bit because some of the things that's coming up, we are doing quarterly releases of what we refer to as the Engineering AI Hub. The Engineering AI Hub is going to we're putting out agents to go out and do various operations, various tasks, and each quarter more content will come out. We are not going to be able to write every agent that you personally want because some of these are all your workflow. Some of these make sense for everybody, but I've had a lot of people, I've done this, spoken to a lot of different groups about the AI Hub, and they want something to fit their specific need. Okay, we cannot write something for your specific need because your specific need is different than yours and yours and yours. But we are now giving everybody the capability to write your own agent, because that's something that many groups are already there going, oh, can I write my own agent? We're going to be, that's coming out. I don't know if it's this release coming up in 10 days or if it's the one following that, but we're putting them out every 3 months. They're coming out like clockwork now. But anyway, we are adding agents all the time. A couple of them that we're working on right now, or one that's coming out right now, is the work item compose. You're able to go out, and if you're creating a work item, go out, you can click the button and it'll go out and it'll pull in all the information that it understands based off the context and help you populate your work item. And something that a lot of people have been asking about over the years, being able to look at duplicate and conflicting requirements. That's something that we're going to be, this one is coming, I believe, in not this one, but the following release, which will be in around 3 months. So we're doing a lot of different work. We're taking a lot of feedback from customers. So after you see some things, if you have some ideas, what you might want, let me know. We take it back, we add it into the queue, we do some due diligence on it to determine the feasibility, and we'll let you know what we're going to do with it. So that's one of the things that we're going to be talking about more. Okay, so going to touch on two items here real quick. The integration hub. So our naming capability has been struggling. We have the integration hub and now we have the AI hub. So don't confuse them. They sound a lot like they are similar, but they're not actually similar. Integration hub. We realize we are not the only products out there on the market. And we also realize that you want products to work with some of your other things you may have. So we have this integration hub, which is built in partnership with a company called PlanView that specializes in integrations. And it allows us to connect the ELM, some of our ELM, doors, next, workflow management, test management, to these various products to be able to pass information back and forth. So in that being said, and there are some more connections, but this gives you an idea of what we're doing. So the integration hub is something which, if you have anything over here that you sit there and go, oh, I didn't realize that, we have this product, I'm just grabbing something really quick, SharePoint, where all good documents go to die. That you can connect that up with integration hub. What's the other one on here? Jira. We can connect up with Jira. Other things. So anyway, that's the benefit of this. We're constantly getting updates on it. But again, if this is something that you weren't familiar with, I wanted to make sure you were, because not everyone gets notified of this. Uh-oh. Got to go back. Go back. All right. Rhapsody SE is another new product. Everyone knows well, not everybody, but many of you already know what Rhapsody is. Rhapsody SE is a new generation of product. It is not a bolt-on for our Rhapsody product, our original Rhapsody product. Our original Rhapsody product, the specialty there is going to be UML SysML v1. Also, right now, that's does very well with systems engineering and software engineering. We also have ties into Siemens Teamcenter to cross over to the electrical and mechanical. But Rhapsody SE is here for SysML v2. Because, the question that is asked often is, okay, SysML v1, SysML v2. Okay, it's just the next version. No, it's a significant change. It's a whole new paradigm. It's meant for systems engineers. We built this new product ground up, web native, whole new world here. Really, really nice. So if you're interested in SysML v2, you plan on going there, I'd recommend that you go out and you look at this and see what we have to offer for Rhapsody SE. Integrates in with all the rest of the products. All in all, really just a good direction we're heading. Okay, so now let's move on to kind of step back. 2025, here's what we did in 2025. We didn't, it looks like not a whole lot of releases, but we did have a fair amount going. Down the bottom, we had quarterly releases of Rhapsody SE. ELM, so our hybrid cloud, we are have the capability of putting ELM out on hybrid cloud. Something I want to point out here. I have to say this due to the fact that some of our friends and competitors are really good at posting things that normally the thing, it just comes out that says Doors is dead. Okay. All right, this was 2025. Okay, yes, we had a real release of Doors in 2025. When I get to the 2026, you'll even see more. Doors Classic is not dead. All right, so when you hear it, not if you hear it, when you hear that, please go, nod, smile, and move forward. All right, so I want to point that out. We went through and we had some of our, we're having the major releases in the middle. So SR1, and then we had ELM 7.2 December. Our AI Hub initial releases 1.0, 1.1. Like I said, 1.2 is coming out momentarily in a couple weeks. So this kind of gives you an idea of what we were doing here. Now, some of the things, we always have various themes and they change. Some of them stay the same, some of them are a little different, but we want to, things that we've been working on, some of the big important factors. Security is always an issue. We constantly get pinged by various organizations going, we have this new requirement to ensure X or ensure Y. And then there's a scramble, then we look at it and we determine, no, this is serious, this is important, this is a new thing that everyone's going to need. So we start adding more security into our tools. So we went through and we always take that into account. We did have some issue, not when I'm going to say issues, we had to encrypt our license files and our, the information being sent to the licensing server. Okay. So, we did a fair amount of that. We always look at productivity. Productivity is something which, if you're not productive, why you have the tool? So some of the things here that we're looking at, again, we have doors and doors next. Some of the parity between the two, we're trying to, occasionally refine things that we're going to add in. So we just added in, we continue to add in more of the advanced filtering. So we had advanced filtering added in initially. I forget when the initial release of that was, but we've done round 2 and we continue to add more to the advanced filtering to make it, well, make it there, make it easier to use and make it, cleaner and help you get more value out of it. The quick planner in EWM, Workflow Manager, putting a lot of work into that. That's something where if you don't use it, if you use EWM and you're not using Quick Planner, you might look at it. You can get a lot of value out of that, and we're putting a lot more effort into that. We're doing work item editor improvements. Rhapsody. We've done a lot of work with Rhapsody to add to how the usability of it, being able to use multiple monitors, being able to, it's just so much more friendly, being able to, everyone, who here has only one monitor on their desk? Thank goodness you guys gave me that answer. So much nicer to have, you have your multiple monitors. And now granted, my desktops are a mess because I have too many monitors and I can't find stuff half the time. But being able to move Windows parts of Rhapsody all over the place in order to get more value out of it. So that's one of the things that we did to help the productivity of Rhapsody. Operating at scale, scalability is huge. I'm always amazed at how you guys can come up with ways to just try to kill our tools. I can respect when we have 10,000 users on a system and someone says something's running slow. Okay, then we got to look at it. Okay, but when you tell me you have 100 users and something's running slow, I just kind of start making faces and go, "What are you doing?" Okay, let's start doing triage. So we put a lot of work into this. We're always taking ideas and we're always thinking ahead. And I'm not sure if I don't think it's here, but somewhere along here, I'm going to be touching on some changes that we made also to help speed things up regarding actually, I think it's on this next one right here. Yes. Boy, it's like I've seen these slides before. Like LQE. We have LQE Jenna. And if you've been in any kind of administrative role with ELM, every time you hear Jenna, you twitch. When we designed this originally, Jenna was a good choice. But then you all grew and you all started beating us up. Jenna is not a good choice anymore. We had to change to a relational store. The relational store has proven to increase performance, reduce your nightmares. I mean, all kinds of goodness. Now, here's the catch with the relational store. Right now, if you have 702, 703, or 71, you can still have the LQE Jenna in your system. When you go to 7.1, you can have LQE Jenna, but you have also LQE relational store. You have to switch over, but at 7.1. So convert from LQE Jenna to LQE relational store. Okay. So just remember, because if you decide you want to go to 7.2, you have to stop at 7.1 and convert over. All right. So that's kind of, every now and then I slow down and speak slowly and make sure everyone understands certain very important factors. So when you're converting, just allow a little extra time. Again, shameless, plug for Mark's organization. They can help you with that also. So, all right. So the reporting. Going along. Oh, and by the way, when we're doing this, every release, we've been doing major upgrades on different sections of the reporting, whether it's what the UI looks like, how the reports are made, some other things. So we're always doing that. Again, we are adding a bunch. If you're a VS Code group, we are adding more capabilities with VS Code going into EWM, and then ultimately, with what we refer to as digital transformation, we are adding in various different capabilities about cross-server linking, our Rhapsody SE coming out, which I already spoke about, dragging and dropping, cleaning up our dragging and dropping between products. So anyway, doing a lot of work there. Any questions? Oh, and by the way, if you ask questions, there's a good chance that you're going to play Stump the Chump here, and I'll answer as good as I can. But I have a lot of really smart guys hanging out in the back and hiding in between you guys. I'll be pointing fingers really quick, because we go as we travel as a pack, So if there's any questions, please interrupt. I'm happy to answer anything. All right. All right. All right. So I don't know where everyone sits in terms of their releases, but let's go over to 2026. 2026, remember I made that comment about doors not being dead? We have another doors release that came out, another one in June, and our naming people haven't quite got past 9.next here, and I immediately started giving them a little bit of noise over the 9.next, because they just love slapping next on things instead of coming up with a number. I don't ever, who knows? I'm just going to stop there. All right. So with that being said, we're also coming out with a new Rhapsody. Oh gosh, we have so many version numbers. 10.03, I believe. Okay, I'm getting head nods from the back. Good. Yeah. Oh gosh, it even says it up there. I'm running these in my head. Yeah, 10.03 March. Another hybrid cloud release coming up. And again, Integration Hub is becoming very important to us. That's why I posed it. So we're even placing that on the slides. Again, for this type of thing going on. Also, as you do roll up to the newer releases, you will have to update your license server. There's been some technology updates and things like that. And again, it kind of goes back partially to some of the security things that everyone wants to get done. So you will have to upgrade your license server at some point. That's something your IT group should be able to do pretty much blindfolded. because it is just Flex LM based. So in essence, we do have new release coming out for ELM because we just had 7.2. We will have 7 next, my favorite phrase, coming up later this year. And you notice that we are putting more, I already mentioned the VS Code. Well, we have a couple more releases going. So a lot of attention going into that. So with that being said, that along with Rhapsody SC and AI Hub being released quarterly, that's really important that they're getting, I've been around long enough where the definition of quarterly meant, you know, you pick a month and a year out of a hat. No, these are being done quarterly. So they're happening. So thus, you know, again, that chart initially where we had 108 releases, those numbers are going to, you know, increase significantly as we go along. So lots happening, a lot scheduled right now. And if you've been around for the last 5 years and you've seen things like this, 4 or 5 years ago, didn't have a lot on it because we were doing a lot of technical debt. We were doing a lot of scalability. We were doing all kinds of things to make the tools more robust. So we are now to the point where we are running full speed ahead. All right, so some of the things here that I wanted to touch on. Again, we have various things. In this case, you notice our first theme here changed to AI. Everything is, I don't want to joke, you know, yeah, I'm going to joke about it. Every time you turn around, you hear AI. I was listening to something today and, you know, I clicked on one button on my phone and there's the CEO of NVIDIA at their big conference talking about AI. You know, it's just and some things which I now have to take back to our product management organization, actually. But we have come out with the AI Hub. It has a lot of really nice capabilities. Jim's going to talk about it. It's early still, and there's a lot of people asking for stuff. So we are growing. We are adding the capability to have, like right now, we have a handful of LLMs you're able to use. We're going to open it up in this release coming out to having you pick your LLM, all right? If you're using one agent, you can use one LLM. If you're using another agent, you can use a different LLM. We're allowing things to work that way. Watson X is still needed, and you're a good straight man. Going forward, and I apologize, some of my terms may not translate necessarily. We are looking at going forward, I don't know which release, whether it's going to be 1.3, 1.4, but to allow for not using Watson X, using something of your choice. So yeah, so no, that's good. Yes, in the future. Seriously though, it's a hot topic. The flexibility, so initially on our first releases, we came out, we said, okay, you're going to use our Watson X and you're going to use this one model called Granite. Okay. And we looked at it and we learned, I mean, we're learning just as quickly as you're learning. We had some customers using it and testing it out and giving us feedback. And we're quickly adapting to your requests, what's going on. So the whole thing here is building flexibility to fit your needs, because you know, if I'm not asked at least once a week, hey, when are you going to be supporting Copilot? I'm probably on vacation if I don't get asked that at least once a week. So anyway, so we're allowing that. We are adding in MCP services, new agents coming out all the time. So in terms of, again, productivity, some big requested items were read access control for both requirements for Doors Next and test management, rich text in the attributes. Again, operating, I don't make the slides. I would probably not use certain words. I'm not a guy of a lot of fluffy words. So scalability, okay. Again, something you might look at in terms of, the hybrid cloud. Talk to your technical team on that, see what they might be able to show you. Reporting again, and this is where, again, the user, UX refresh, for creating reports. That's the big theme for this upcoming release. Again, VS Code, if you use Tecton for CI/CD, that's coming out also. So we're looking into more things of that nature. And then finally, again, moving forward with the, referred to as digital transformation, the Rhapsody SE, we are, again, Rhapsody SE is also growing and being, it's quarterly release. There's all kinds of capabilities. Because of the SysML v2 standard was certified or validated or whatever the proper term is, I don't know, about 4 months ago. I'm waiting for someone to correct me. Oh, it's good. Got it. Sounds right. That's what I wanted to hear. Yes. So we built as much as we could before we made sure we weren't building the wrong thing. So it got sort of, blessed by OMG, and now we're going out and we're cranking out all the extra features. Ties in with product line engineering. And this is kind of the idea of what we're looking at for 2026. I was about to say 2006. So this is not everything. These are just some of the bigger things that we're looking at. We are constantly looking for feedback. We're constantly looking for new ideas. There was a point where we had a lot of requests for enhancements. Some of the requests for enhancements were very old. We did a lot of big scrubbing of them, and we're collecting, looking at them. We have a new system. It's a little friendlier than the last system. I'm sure that system will be changing also, because we love to, it's the shell game, and I'm going to apologize for Mother Corp. I'm going to blame them. Who am I kidding? But anyway, give us the ideas, give us feedback on what we're doing. There are, if you go out to, I'm going to hang on you, Michael. Where did I saw the one document. still putting out fixed packs and things of that nature. So we do release things along the way also. Yes, yes, absolutely. So actually, I think the idea here is not to wait until the end to just do a big push. They're going to be coming out in fixed packs. If there is something that you see that you want, let us know, because sometimes they'll wait to hold it and release it later, and we've had pressure, serious requests for something a little earlier, and I'm not saying it's just magically can happen, but we need a little planning and we can make some adjustments. Not good. I know what you want. So anyway, anything else? Yes, sir. Yeah. I believe it is the same URI. Yeah, I'm thinking it is. I haven't heard people yelling at me yet. I know. The witness protection thing really works out sometimes to my benefit. Sir. Duncan. Like being able to move the model from one to the other? Yeah. Yeah.
So I was just saying that Rhapsody 10 is like a desktop install, and if you're using Model Manager, then there's a back end as well. The desktop side, not suitable for containerization. The back end, Model Manager, you could use that containerized as part of the ELM on the hybrid cloud. Oh. Handoff between Rhapsody 10 and Rhapsody SE. Okay. Oh, that is a big topic. There is today a beta capability in Rhapsody SE to allow you to do a system LV2 model and then do a handoff into Rhapsody 10 for effectively continuing the modeling of the software part of that system. If you're referring to system LV1 to system LV2 conversion, no, okay, good. Because that's still work in progress by the OMG, because it's quite complex.
Any more questions for Harry?
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Harry. And next up, we've got Jim to talk about. All right. Well, you're having a tour now. All right. Okay, we're going to split and do an immersive tour. Watch out for the paddle color, whether you're blue or red or green. And then we'll just lead you around on the tours, and then we'll talk about AI after that. Yeah, if you can take your seats, please, and we'll hear from Jim Marsh on IBM's AI Hub.
Okay, can we hear me? All right, great. Hi, Jim Marsh, obviously American guy. I live in the Rocky Mountains in the state of Utah, and missing the snow this year because we have had very little snow, and that's where I live. But I've been around the lifecycle management software since 2004 when I was hired at Telelogic, and 2008 IBM bought us. But I've been selling as technical sales for Telelogic and IBM since 2004, and currently I'm still technical sales, but I have kind of a worldwide role where I get to fly around sometimes and meet people like you and see all the cool stuff you're doing with our tools. And so this is fun for me. So today we're going to talk about AI Hub. Harry did a little bit of introduction to it, but you know, in today's world, things are changing. Whoop. Oh, yeah, look at that. Where you go? That's not me. I got confused. In today's world, you know, things are moving faster and faster, and more complexity. You know, we want tools to help us augment and make us more efficient. You know, who isn't asked to do more than you used to last year? I think all of us are kind of in that realm, and makes it difficult sometimes to do that. So some of the things we've been trying to do is help alleviate some of that pain using our tools to manage the information appropriately and hopefully save time, accelerate your development efforts. You know, things that a lot of us are worried about. I think most of us here have some worries about standards or regulatory issues that we're trying to map to make sure what we're building is appropriate, right? So we want to use tools that kind of help us do that, not only just the traceability, but you know, making sure that it's done right. Let's see, no, that's later. So anyway, that's kind of the information we're getting at. And I see AI Hub is stepping in to augment that engineering effort in different ways. So we're trying to think of, I know our product management team, Daniel and Bhavna, they have a spreadsheet they're keeping. They got, you know, from customers, there's 70 plus different agents that they're already thinking on what to do next. And like Harry said, there's some overlap as to desires of what people want, and then there's some that are very specific to a particular need. And the way AI Hub is built, it will help actually meet both of those needs going forward. We'll get into that a little bit. Yeah, so I said that. I don't need to say that again, but AI Hub, we're on 1.2. You can see up in the top right there, 1.2 is coming out next week. That is correct, right? Yeah, next week. And to offer a new agent there. But the agents that we've got come out with so far are listed on the right. Those have been around. Doors Next 5 years ago or so, I think it was, where we released requirements quality analyst, RQA. Who used RQA at all or looked at it? Some of you, of course you did. Yeah. So that was a first try at using some AI capabilities with our tools. It was more kind of natural language processing, not LLMs. They weren't around yet, but it was really kind of reading it, mapping it, and then associating it to it. And it worked okay for what it did, but it analyzed it and mapped it to NCOSI guidelines, right? So what we're doing now is now redoing that again. Of course, we almost reused the exact same name, requirements quality analysis instead of analyst. They called it RQA. I don't know that we call it RQA or not, but because there's too many agents, we don't just call it RQA. We just call it AI Hub generally. But that first one, requirements quality analysis, will then go and rank our requirements according to NCOSI guidelines, et cetera. And I'll actually show you this in a screenshot, and then we'll demo with that in a little bit. The engineering assistant there, this one I think has a lot of the most fun with, because it's open text where you can write. For all the stuff we do with AI currently is that it's that open text, the prompt that you give it to get the data out that you want. And this is where the engineering assistant will do that, to query your requirements, not just the general, tell me about the world, but tell me about my requirements kind of thing. The next one is a work item synopsis in EWM, formerly RTC. But it's good for like a really long running work item that's got a lot into it. And it will basically create a synopsis of what that whole work item is about in a smaller subset. MBSE use case discovery, that one's kind of neat as well, where it can take a set of requirements and then discover actors and use cases, so you can start to build out your models for a little bit quicker. And the last one coming out next week is work item compose. Basically allows us now to create work items by giving it a prompt to now build me out work items I need to accomplish to complete a task. Okay, so the first one here to cover requirements quality analysis here, and I'm gonna get my pointer here because I brought it. So of course, you guys in D&G got our requirements here. This widget that is in Doors Next or ELM generally, but it's a big dashboard, and you add a widget here that basically you go and select the requirements you want to run, and then gives you back the issues that were discovered, and it's looking up the different issues that in COSI's guide for writing requirements is identified as particular issues. And then another cool feature here that goes beyond what we did in RQA is that it gives an actual rewrite recommendation. Okay? And that's pretty nice, especially for, I'll say, the young engineers and assistants that don't, or the analysts that don't yet know how to write good requirements, because writing good requirements is difficult and it takes time. Right? But this can give them a jump start as to say, here's an example of a better written requirement. Now, like all AI, I don't trust everything that it gives me, but I can look at that and go, because it may not know what you're building specifically, but it may take what it was written here and rewrite it to meet it. But you can either copy that in, or you can say, that sounds good, but in reality, this is what it really means. Right? You can take that in and then copy it and go forward. So the reason this is kind of neat, and the reason I bring up the, I don't know if you people saw this last week. Now this was Gen AI generated, if you couldn't figure that out. But who heard of this? What happened last week? AWS had a problem with their AI tools. Their junior developers, this guy here, was just relying on the AI assistant and was building code, and it had a problem. It actually was going out and said, hey, there's something we deployed, but I'm going to rewrite it and redeploy it. They're like, oh, wait a minute, what? Why? And what happened is they had production environments go down, and they had to go back up and go to previous versions, but it actually shut down AWS for a while. And you think of all the money that they make over 6 hours. I can't imagine, right? This actually just created this morning as I'm sitting over here. This is kind of funny, but what happened is now they had to institute senior developers and directors were the only ones that could approve AI generated code delivery into a production environment. So what I'm getting at is, I think as we have less experience, we'll rely on that AI because, hey, it's pretty smart, but in reality, it may not know exactly what it's supposed to be doing in context. So it's kind of funny. Well, not funny to them, but funny to me. Funny, interesting, at least. So the other one is the now the AI assistant that goes through and you can start to query your requirements. It keeps in context of the module they're in currently, so you can start to ask questions of those particular requirements. And like I said, we'll get into some live presentation and demonstration of what that does. But this is the type of AI prompting that we're used to, but this is kind of the most powerful. I think it's similar to a search feature, but you don't have to be exact in your wording when you do a search with this, right? ELM's got a lot of great search features, but this you don't have to use exact wording, of course, when you're doing that because it recognizes that information. All right, the next one is the work item synopsis. Like I said, you can take, we add a couple where you would add new aspects to your displays, synopsis being a tab here, and then you have this new summation icon there that basically reads through the overview and the approval and histories and gives you a synopsis of kind of what's happened over time. Very useful. You're just coming on board and you're trying to understand what's going on. Or I like to say management like gets to read stuff briefly without having to go too deep. Okay. Work item compose. This one I don't have ready for demonstration because this is the one that's coming out next week. But like I said, it allows us to create work items automatically, giving it a prompt to do so, and which essentially jumpstart your project. Here's a list of things we think you should be doing, and then you can go through and make modifications to them. But again, it's just augmenting and accelerating your development efforts to a point. Okay. All right, the next one is our model-based system engineering use case discovery, and this one's kind of fun too. This works in both Rhapsody System Engineering and Rhapsody 10. Okay. I'm only going to show Rhapsody System Engineering one, but it's very similar. Basically, you suck in requirements, and then it's going to read the requirements and identify use cases and actors that could potentially fill your model. Okay. And then from there, it jumpstarts your model again, and then you start to build it out from there. All right, so like I said, we're kind of just getting started on this as these new releases are coming out. We are adding MCP backend into this coming release so that we can start testing out the additional agents that may be added by either customers or business partners may build them, but you'll use the AI Hub as the central point for that to go into. And then MCP basically adds the ability now to incorporate additional LLMs that make most sense for a particular task. So you have an agent that does something, but it doesn't work as well in Watson as it might in something else, then you can call that other agent, right? And it makes, what MCP is for, right? Make it easier for us to do that. So that information or that new functionality will be added in a future release, but we're just getting that added now. I forgot to mention that AI Hub is deployed on containers. So we're not reliant on the current ELM release schedule. So AI Hub can have multiple releases very quickly. And as we get those updates, they'll come out. We came up with this last fall, and then 1.1 came out earlier, or in January, I think 1.2 now in March. So it's a little quicker release. We can get these things out very quickly. And with containers, deploying those are pretty simple once you've got it deployed. Okay. Any questions so far? Nikolai, I knew it was you.
Thank you. I've got a question concerning the upcoming MCP functionalities. Will there be a kind of technical boot camp or something to show how it's planned that these MCPs
I asked
integrate
about
with
that.
another?
They're in the middle of still writing that information because it's kind of be done in the back end. But yes, in the future there will be, because that was a specific question I asked our product managers yesterday. Was, are we going to have something identified to describe how to add an agent of their own? How do they get in there? What's the usage?
Right.
Yeah. So
will there also be a kind of concept of marketplace or something so that business partners or integrators like us
TBD, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. Right, Harry? You're in those meetings more than I am. Yeah, I think that's TBD. I think it makes sense for me as a salesperson. That makes sense, but whether PM wants to support that, I don't know.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Yes, over here. push the button.
Hello.
There you go.
So your AI tool does requirements into use cases and models, but is there a thought of doing something where it can compare an existing model with a requirement set and do like a gap analysis between the two to say what's missing from
That's an example of something we have of customer requests. We don't have it built in the tool yet,
Okay.
but that is definitely something we want to look at, or that we are looking at already. And some of that is conflicts or duplicates, right?
Yep.
Kind of thing, right? But yes, that's definitely one of those we want. Currently, this at least in D&G, it's tied to a particular module when you run it, but in the future, we would open that up cautiously to apply to across modules, across project potentially. But we don't like opening up, especially in the first few releases, do the entire project or entire data set, because then it costs a lot. Takes a lot of time, may bring down your system, I don't know.
A lot of conflicts as well.
Yeah, but potentially there could be a lot there, right? So we limit it to one module at a time to start, but then in the future, I think we'll see that'll grow.
Perfect. Thank you.
She's faster than you.
That working? Yeah, cool. So you mentioned about the working to the INCOSY standards and kind of that side of it.
Yeah.
So I'm Ben Harris. I work for Babcock International. We are a defence company, so we work across the globe in different areas and that. So we work to different standards and kind of some of the different things. So my question is kind of what's the scope for security classification, for the Americans and using ITAR,
Right.
different standards that the UK Ministry of Defence use, and then even MIL standards that the Australians use, and we work across all different that. Is that a scope to just plop that in and then you can just pull that across? Or
I think kind of that's the idea.
Yeah.
To do that, and that could be just another AI agent that says this one's this standard.
Okay.
Right, and you could use all the back end of what you built for this. Just says instead of using INCOSY, we're going to use this standard.
Yeah.
Because with some of the generative AI now, you can feed it the context. Say, according to this particular MIL standard, I want to analyze this set of requirements and see if I'm meeting those. Right?
Yeah.
And that seems like an easy fit.
Yeah.
It's not in there yet.
No.
Yeah, but
I know from importing and exporting, the Americans are very hot on the ITAR stuff with with the control of what that is.
right.
They probably wouldn't be very happy if we were just chucking a standard in and then the requirements, and we want to know it was safe and secure and kind of those things,
Right.
and we were working to it, and it's just
Yeah,
I know pretty much the answer is we can plop it in, but it's just making sure.
yeah.
Cool. All right, thank you.
I see that in the future, as well as multiple language kind of thing, right? Just takes some time to build that up. I think this year we'll see it move quickly, especially once we open it up to building your own agents, things like that. It'll be really, really interesting, challenging, and probably fun to see what happens. Yeah. Yep. Okay. All right, let's go to the fun stuff. We'll do a demonstration here. And so I've opened up Doors Next already, of course. And I've got a widget loaded on the left-hand side here. I've got the quality analysis widget as well as the engineering assistant widget that's there. So now we can go through and select some number of requirements to analyze. We've also, you would go and create attributes to store the score, the reason, and the last time you ran it, right? You want to be able to track that information. So I put that in the view. When I run these, I don't like to do the whole module at one time because it's hard to process and go through each one of those directly. So if I was writing requirements, I would write a few and then analyze them and then edit, go back and iterate through those. I wouldn't do the whole module at one time unless I'm just trying to get a score, a general score, kind of thing, because you can't analyze, in this case, 58 requirements all at the same time. So I'll run the analysis. Plus, I think it clutters up some of the side here if you do too many. But So it's analyzing those three requirements that it saw as it kicks out to Watson X and says, okay, nobody, it's going to score 'em from 0 to 10. And it found one in the mid-range and 2 in the high range, so that's cool. So let's look at the mid-range here and see what that is. So 4183 came up with a 7. That's the one in the middle, right? And note it wrote over here already to that. And of course, you have to have write access to actually write. If you're doing this when you do the scores, if you don't have write access, it won't write it. So I can take a look at that and see what it gave me. So it told me now I've got potential unclear term, unclear pronoun. And if I'm a new analyst, I'm going, what do you mean unclear term? I don't get it. Well, let's be specific and tell you what an unclear term is. It gives you some definition of what that might mean. Or you can also click onto more info. And it takes you to the IBM documentation and go, here's a bunch of examples of unclear terms that you write in your requirements that you shouldn't. Oh, that's what I shouldn't do. Okay, got it. And I'm going to go back and rewrite my requirements now. So that's the tool helping us learn and iterate through our requirements correctly. And then down here is the recommendation that it wrote for me. I can compare that to it and decide, where I just wrote down here error-free. What does error-free mean? Right, that sounds 100% error-free, but in reality, what is that exactly? So we go down to zero errors as a potential. So 0 I can measure and test, kind of thing. So it's helping me along with that, and maybe I'll use that, or maybe I'll just rewrite it a little bit to get it to what I want to do. Okay. Does that make sense? Yeah. Yeah.
Then automatically
There you go.
automatically pull in the attributes into your existing database.
So yeah, so these attributes over here on the right, these are in your module in context with the requirement.
Right.
Yeah, of course you can sit, if you're using history audit changes for links, the name just left me. The link indicators that tells me if something's changed or not. You can turn off certain attributes that affect that link change.
Right.
Right. So if you don't want to do that with that, that's fine.
So these will be inbuilt.
But they are recorded in the system for us to keep track of. Now, once you keep it as an attribute, I can now use that, for example, in a dashboard diagram, and I can start to trace and understand how well I'm doing across my documents, right? So in this case here, I've got, and the idea is maybe you don't have to be perfect all 10s in all these, but maybe I want to be a 7 or 8 or above in these kind of things. So, but I definitely don't want anything in the reds. I want those things need help, and I want to make sure they're right. Okay. So I created that chart last night. This is just kind of a simple, colorful chart, but it's helpful to understand what's the progression of my quality of this particular document. Okay. Yeah. Coming at you. Yeah.
What's the analysis based on? Like, what is the gold standard that's been set? So is it something we can define or upload, or is it something that's already preset?
So it's the NCOSI guidelines. You can look for the NCOSI guideline.
Okay.
However, Harry, correct me here. I believe in the admin function, you can say, you know what, unclear term, I don't care about that, and don't rate it, right? Kind of thing. That's right, right? Yeah. Unclear term is kind of a bad example, but it could be compounds.
Okay.
Right, where you're doing too many and statements, or statements you definitely don't want, but ands. We use ands a lot. That makes sense to have, but you can say, don't look for those.
Are we able to define a different requirement syntax? Say we're using something completely different.
No, not yet. That's kind of what he was going for, is
Yeah.
different standards. Not yet.
Okay.
But that could be coming future. Yeah. Okay. Awesome. All right. So that's that one. I'm going to go down now to our, and this display's a little bit small, so it's hard to see. So that now we go to the open form, ask your requirements, engineering assistant, where you can start to query your requirements. You can select individual requirements and ask you questions, or you could say, well, let's do a set here. And just go with summarize the requirements. Those are just a couple of samples that they threw in here. So let's just summarize those requirements. And it's just going to kick back for me. And this is good when you're trying to learn what the project's supposed to be doing and kind of thing. So it kicks back and says, from those 7 items, this is basically what it's attempting to do. Other things that you might ask it, and I reloaded a couple questions here. So for example, because I can't type in front of people without mistyping, so I'm going to do a cut and paste. What's the resolution for the video feed? Let me What's the resolution for the video feed? And say I don't know how to search for it. I don't know how it was called, how it was named in there. It says, okay, I found in here one source that tells me what the video feed of this, and it's 720. Okay, and then it gives me the source of that as well. So I know exactly, okay, great. Now I can take that and use that and go to it and start to understand what it's related to. Yeah. Mike coming to you. Very.
Was that that second question,
Yes,
was that looking at all the data within the module?
in the
or was it-
module only.
Okay,
Yeah.
but was it because you asked the first question and you highlighted a subset, so you highlighted 10?
No, in this case here, I just said, look at all the module, because I didn't select any.
Okay, so the second question wasn't relevant to the amount you selected for
Right.
the first question. All right,
Yeah.
thanks.
Yep.
Yeah, hi. Can you give it any rules as well as on top of the NCOSE guidelines? So you could say, here's some keywords about our product, and also say things like never allow requirements that would enable the system to do this, that, or the other. Can it check like the logic as well of the requirements?
In its present form, I think it's not quite there yet. But I think that's a future agent that would definitely be able to, where you can, pinpoint what it's supposed to be doing,
Yeah,
feeding it the right back-end context
yeah,
of what it's supposed to look
yeah,
like.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
thanks.
Not in this form, for sure. Yeah.
When you select the whole module for querying, how is this being translated to the workload costs, so to the work units that are then consumed when performing that?
That's a hairy question. Yeah, it's so, we didn't get into the technical back end part of it, but basically it uses tokens to accomplish, to be able to use it. And then every time you send it queries to AI Hub, what's it called? Give him a
Work
mic.
units.
I know, sorry. I don't want to speak wrong words here.
You have to be careful in using the phrase token because it's overloaded from
Yes, true,
our licensing model
right.
tokens and
license
also
is
AI
token.
tokens.
Yeah, license is token, but
So resource units
yes,
behind the scenes, what Nikolai is talking about. Yes, if you had everything selected, your input resource units and source input tokens are going to be higher than maybe more than you would expect. I don't know. It depends on how big your module is. Your output's going to be what your output is. So based off of the analysis. So there is going to be a cost if you select everything, but again, it depends on how much you're selecting.
yeah, but for a daily usage, we're in the thousands of work units, resource units, right? That we're going through. Maybe.
Yeah, our whole licensing model has unfortunately overloaded things, and as, we're not going to go through that because that's actually a little bit of a discussion at this time. But if you want to talk about how it's licensed and laid out and how everything, typically runs, that we can do that, find me. I'll be around.
Right. Okay, thanks, Harry. Sorry, I didn't mean to put you on the spot too much, although I enjoy doing that. All right, so I'm just going to ask it some questions here and see what comes up. So let me pick a requirement here that makes sense. Okay, so I'm just going to pick this requirement. You could do a couple of them maybe. Now, this is kind of going beyond kind of in the next area. So if you wanted to start to write some test cases and map it to this requirement, you could send that information to the to this piece here, and it's going to give me just like it would with regular LLM and say, all right, here's some test steps, a test case, and some test steps that might map to this requirement. So it's reading the requirements, giving me some steps. I could copy that and put it into engineering test management potentially. And that could be a future agent as well that does this automatically. But it basically, to me, it starts to give me a little more analysis to the requirement I'm writing to say, yeah, those test steps look right. This is well-written requirement, right? So I can start to do a little more with the querying of it. You could do the same thing with task management and say, I've got this set of requirements. Write me some tasks of steps I got to do to complete the requirements. You jumpstart your information like that. Like I said, that's kind of just using the assistant here to help you guide you as you go along. That part's not automated yet, but I think you can still use this for those sorts of things. So that's pretty neat. The other one I wanted to do is this part is sometimes good, but it's not quite built yet for this. But I've got in here, are there any conflicting requirements? Let's see if I get in here. Yeah, so I wrote in, are there any conflicting requirements in this module? I'm going to turn this one off. I'm going to look at the module. So it's going to run it and hopefully it'll identify something for me. So it found something. And I was very explicit, and I wrote a couple requirements here. This one, access to the communication system shall require an authentication, and I went right below it, shall not require authentication. So those two are obviously conflicting, right? But it was able to go in and say, I found a couple things here that look like they're conflicting, right? So I think we're on the way to getting to duplicate and conflicting. It's not in a purpose-built agent yet, but you can start to use this to really query those requirements and get information that you want.
So for the test cases, is it possible to have an attribute that is automatically filled as the first draft?
That would be a future agent to build that, but yeah, technically that can be done for sure. Just like we wrote the attributes into Doors Next, you can see that going into ETM, et cetera. And whether the agent would run inside Doors or ETM, I'm not sure yet. Because currently in ETM, there's already a reconcile component that basically automates the synchronization between a view inside Doors Next and a test plan in ETM. You can reconcile that to make sure the view that I've created has appropriate associated test cases. But it would the next place to that would be, yeah, I can create basically test stubs for them, but I want to actually fill it out with good data like this.
Yes.
It starts to give me the test steps, right? And that seems like a very natural progression and pretty quickly done, I think.
Hopefully, yes. If
Yeah.
we have good requirements, it should be easy.
Yeah,
Yes.
right. If the requirements are written well. Yeah, thank you. Okay. All right, let's go to the work items here. So we're inside EWM, and I've got a story here that I'm working on, and it's got a long description, information over time, and a lot of comments, et cetera, that are going on. And I can look at the synopsis tab. I haven't run this yet. So I can click on this and run it. And it's going to read through everything and then give me just a summary of the work item itself. I will say it's not looking at links, sorry. Links right there. It's not looking up and down the links yet. I think that's a future thing that they'll be able to take advantage of as well to make sure coverage is appropriate going forward. Is this work item has sub-children? How are they being done? Stuff like that. So that's not quite there yet. It's staying within context of the work item itself. So it went through and gave me a quick overview in a large paragraph. And then some other details, business value, user value, user needs, etc. Kind of summarized it in a semi-short section to give me an idea of what this particular work item is about. Okay, that was a nice easy step going in. Like we said, the next iteration of this within EWM is to create new work items based upon a prompt to do that. Okay, questions? Mr. Watson. There you go.
It was all your fault. You mentioned links.
Yes.
In the requirements side, can that critique links? So when you said, can I find conflicting requirements? Can I find requirements that don't meet what they're supposed to be meeting?
Yeah, that's a perfect new agent that we're working on. I know Harry is well aware of that one. Yeah, we want to make sure coverage is appropriate, right? But the problem is what coverage are we looking for, right? So being able to identify that, is it coverage to a standard? Is it coverage to lower level requirements in some fashion? What is the coverage? And that's the name of the links thing, really. But how do you identify what that coverage is, and how do I know it's correct? So over here.
Are there any plans to introduce any of these AI agents into Doors Classic?
The answer is yes. Yes, we have. And we did build that already with the old RQA. With the new version, we do plan on adding that capability into Doors 9, legacy Doors, for sure. Like Harry said, Doors is not dead. It'll be around for a long time. We have lots of customers that use it, and we don't want to pull that rug at all. So including new features and enhancements. Yes, please.
Hi, thank you. Was two questions. One was that what's an agent? Was it internal within Doors, or does it go outside of the environments to search?
Well, it uses the Watson LLM. The searching itself is maintained within here because we're not sending data out to it. It's not reading the data and storing it and learning off it or anything like that. It's just reading the data and using its powers to analyze that information and then spit back the return.
Thank you. The second one, the use of AI, obviously, a lot of the organizations would have privacy policy issues with the future AIs that are going to be mounted on IBM. So what is IBM trying to cater for these organizations that have these limitations?
Right. So that's so one, obviously it's being transmitted back and forth. It's safe transmission or encrypted, shall I say. In the future, though, we do actually have Watson X that can be on site, on-prem, so that it can be run in secure environments where we don't want to send anything out, or it literally cannot be sent out, right? So we do have a Watson X on-prem that can be done. And in the future, when we have other AI agents that can be used, if they're on-prem too, we're using MCP to use for those agents, then just call those locally as well. So. That's a good question. I don't know if you guys talked about that, Harry. Obviously, you can receive in, but you can't take out. You can't send any information outside, right? You're thinking of SCIF or something that.
Yeah, I mean, the whole game plan is it's your data. If we don't want it, we're not going to learn from it. so that, now does that, for depending upon, the defense industry especially, you don't care. You want it on site. I don't know who you're with, but that's kind of just the idea. Where IBM, if you ever even listen to their commercials, they'll always talk about it's your data is your data. We're not taking anything from it. And if we are learning from it, we're going to make sure, but we're not doing anything. Everything is confined. So one way can work, but ultimately, if you're really concerned, we have to talk about having Watson X on premises, especially if you have secure, I'm going to call them lock boxes, secure facilities, has to be on-prem. That's the only option.
Yeah.
So it's more work, but.
Great, thank you. All right, let's do the next one then. Let's go into our model-based system engineering helpers here. So I'm logged into Rhapsody System Engineering, and I'm not a modeling guy, but I can use this. So I want to jumpstart my project, and you can use the menu system. You just can import from a file. Say I'm not connected to Doors Next or at all. I'm just wanted to work within Rhapsody SE here. I'm just going to import a set of requirements in a CSV file. So I can do that. Found 63 of those. It's going to bring those requirements in. That part's simple. That's not really an AI agent that's doing that necessarily, but it'll create those in just a second and then make it available for me to use. As a jumpstart to this. Don't worry, Steve, I'm not going to call on you to do an MBSE demo in the middle of this. So those requirements are brought in. I'm just going to put them inside this requirements package, and I can see now it's got a table of requirements that I can see, and we're ready to go there. The next thing I want to do then is read those requirements and discover any use cases or actors that it sees within that set of requirements. And of course, it wants me to log in again. So this is a demo instance here. So where's my phone, Harry? It's in the front zipper, front zipper. I tried to not have this happen in the middle of a demo, but it always happens. Thanks. So here's the security we were just talking about. Prove. And then it wants me to log in again because that's the way we work. That was the login to the AI Hub piece of that. In this demo instance, it has a couple of quirks to it where it's authenticating to. So it's looking at those items, identifying any potential actors and use cases, and then generating some suggestions and even building the model out for us to start.
I've just got a question while that's loading.
Yes, please.
Here I am. So if you get a suggestion on the left-hand side about a requirement being that which could be improved, can it automatically replace the one that you agree that it should be overwriting, or do you have to do some copy and pasting kind of stuff?
Currently, it's a copy.
Okay.
There's see if I had it here. There was a copy piece. Oh, this one here. There was a copy component of that allowed you to. Yeah. So if I click in here, copy right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not. I'm automatically jumping.
Yeah. Okay.
I think we did that on purpose. I think we did that on purpose just to be sure what you're doing.
Yeah.
And making an edit and not just going, the Amazon errors.
Yeah.
I'm just going to, well, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Kind of thing. But in reality, you want to, like I said, it does not understand your particular business that well,
Yeah.
right? It wants you to look at it and go,
I agree.
this sounds right.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, so back here, so identified 5 use cases and 4 different actors, right? So I can see those items there. I can agree with them or not and then select them or say, well, that doesn't make sense, or this one does. I'm just going to go ahead and click create them all and see what it looks like. So that, like I said, this is really just helping to jumpstart your model development and get you going quicker. Steve, correct me if I'm completely wrong. So I go down to system context diagram here and see what it built out for me. So it sees here's a system, here's the different potential actors that are associated with that system. Kind of cool stuff for me to do there. So that's pretty much what it does, and then you can start to further delineate, build this out more using the tool to get things going, right? All right. Any questions on that? Some are using Rhapsody here, some are not, but yeah.
You could show the use case view.
Yeah, here we go.
Hello. It's really cool that you can take the requirements and then generate use cases. I love that. Can you do it a second time? So because it's designed as like an iterative process. Yeah. Can I take the requirements later on and then it'll tell me what's changed, what new use cases, or do you have to visual comparison?
I don't think it's there yet. No, it's definitely not there yet. I could see that use case being useful to overload the use case term, but I can see that being very useful though, is identify how these requirements have changed, especially over time. And do I need to modify my model then to look at that?
That's the bit I was kind of after, as the requirement set is big, is there anything I've missed in the use cases?
Right.
That'd be really cool.
Right. Rhapsody SE has some nice functionality around versions though across time. So you can create, different versions. I can see that happening in the future. We could really do that. And then making the compare function. I don't think it's quite there yet either. Is it across versions? Steve, do you know?
It's coming in 1.7.
1.7. Okay. So I think what we're leading towards is, so maybe I did that in a different variant of that dude. And I want to compare them and see what they're like, maybe. I don't know.
I mean, this feature was, an experiment to see what's possible.
Yeah, right.
And it's interesting that quite often each time you run it, it will come up with a slightly different set of actors and a slightly different set of use cases.
Right. So this problem with the AI right now, right? Can it build something consistent with a constant prompt, consistent prompt, right? And I think in requirements management side, this is what will tend to happen. I think is you'll start storing those prompts as requirements, or at least as an artifact. And this is the prompt I use to generate this information, code or whatever. But I want to store that to be able to go back and go, how did I create that? And can I do that again? And is it the exact same thing? I don't know. In safety critical industries, I think that's going to be very interesting. When they're auto-generated stuff, I can't just have it generate stuff and not be consistent. I got to know what's going to change and why it changed, and make sure safety critical things are still safe.
We're also adding MCP
right.
interface onto Rhapsody SE,
and
then you will be able to use an MCP client to then start to do these things just through prompting.
Yeah.
And then it gets really interesting in terms of the capabilities that it's going to offer, and then add in with the textual notation that you can already import into SE, and then 1.7, then add demoing. there'll be textual notation visualized alongside the model at the same time.
That's cool. Yeah.
There's
'Cause LLMs are
all
really
sorts
good
of
at writing
interesting
text.
stuff. Yeah.
You know, and if they can, if perhaps SysML v2 has a textual notation, if we can take that textual notation, push it into the model, I think that's where that power is going to come up v2. I'm sorry. I held you off too long. Sorry, go ahead.
At the moment, in its current version, is there traceability from the requirements to this, which we can use as a suspect?
Yeah, so
links?
I didn't set it up this way, but in the current version, you can trace from Rhapsody SE elements to doors next requirements. Yeah, all that's OSLC based, so that stuff's built into the tool.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
So at the moment, until we have an automatic this one way, we can still use
Yeah,
the suspect links to
Steve,
see.
you may know, but I'm sorry, Steve, I keep throwing you out there. The requirements in DNG, we don't have the analysis piece of that to grab a view of requirements and populate the use cases and actors yet. Right?
No,
This is the first step here, is
yeah,
stored here. Right?
the infrastructure's there for doing OSLC, global config aware,
Yeah.
traceability into all of ELM from Rhapsody SE. But for those the people that are familiar with Rhapsody and the Rhapsody 10, that has this concept of remote artifacts, where you can effectively visualize the doors next modules inside the modeling tool. That's still to be added into Rhapsody SE. Again, it's on the roadmap.
Right.
They're just trying to come up with the most user-friendly way of making that happen.
Right. Okay, so not yet, but yeah, this is the first iteration of that. So yeah. Okay. All right. So pretty cool. Be able to populate something and give you an outline of what your project might look like, and then edit it, make it how you really want it. But if it can jumpstart your project, that's where it's at. Okay. Basically, that's what I have. Are there any additional questions? Oh, Harry's got a comment.
So I was speaking with Hazel Woodcock. She, waving back here, she is our NCOSI rep, does everything. And we have mentioned the NCOSI guide to writing better requirements multiple times. And I don't think, speaking with her, I'd like to give her like a couple minutes to just give a highlight of what we're talking about. And I'm just going to hand it over to you, Hazel, so that everyone understands what we're saying when we're talking about the requirements quality
Sorry.
analysis.
I assume too much maybe, but please, Hazel.
Yeah, hi. So NCOSI Guide for Writing Requirements is a chunky volume. From recollection, there's shade over 40, I guess, requirements for requirements. And about half of those can be covered in the RQA first pass, looking at a single requirement. So for a single requirement, it needs to be singular, not compound. It needs to have an imperative, a shall, a will, or something of that sort. If you've got continuous quantity in there, like volts or amps or miles an hour, then it needs to have limits on that. So those sort of things, it needs to be unambiguous, it needs to be clear, it needs to be active voice, not passive voice.
Yeah.
So all of those sort of things are covered, and that's about half the rules in the Guide for Writing Requirements. The other approximately half of the rules are things like it shouldn't conflict with anything else, it shouldn't be a duplicate of anything else. So you can start to do those, and I don't know what's in the tool, but you can start to do those once you're looking at the requirements set. You can definitely assess to see, is it a duplicate, is it contradictory, and those sort of things. And then there's another category that you probably can't do yet, and that is it necessary? Well, you don't, the AI tool doesn't know because it doesn't,
Right.
you've said it doesn't know your business. Is it correct? Well, you've said it's 30 miles an hour. Should it really be 25? Who knows? Right. You know, the AI tool doesn't. So there's a whole class of things that are in the Guide for Writing Requirements that the tool can't really help you with unless it's then got access to the standard that you're working to, and can start to compare, and then you're looking more at traceability. So there's different aspects to that guide for writing requirements. If you're an InCozy member, you can download it. As I say, it's quite chunky. It's quite a good read. If you if you're that way
It
inclined.
is actually interesting to us engineers that
It's a useful little document, but it's and people have asked about, can you put other standards in there, and can you do other work to other standards? The reason that we picked the InCozy one back in 2018-19 was that it's, broadly speaking, good practice. It's not saying that you need to follow a particular syntax. It's just real basic good practice guidance for writing requirements that are gonna not trip you up a little bit later on.
I think it's imperative reading for any new engineer that's writing requirements. That's something they have to study.
Yeah. If anybody's got any InCozy questions, here we can try to deal.
Thank you, Hazel. Okay. There's something else? Harry. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so is InCozy standard I guess the model doesn't go out and pick up new information. So I guess InCozy standards built into the.
Yeah, so the model we used for this is we feed it the InCozy guide.
Yeah.
And
So
it
what happens
understands
when the InCozy guideline is updated? Will the model?
We'll update that.
You do it automatically, yeah? Yeah, okay.
You guys do some iterations on it year to year, a little bit here and there, but there was a major iteration that was done, what, 3 years ago, maybe? Yeah. But when those happen, we'll add those to them. So that would be, that's potential, right? Depending on how much we want to support. There's lots of standards out there, but which ones do you go with? And that's where those Fed agents happen. What do we want to do? What is part of the problem is, as IBM, is what do we provide out of the box? The 80-20 rule usually applies, but for some people they only need a specific standard to worry about, but most of the industry may not use that, or different countries or whatnot, so.
Maybe a thought is to put the specific standards into it, so that it goes to resolve what you were talking about. You can regionalize it. You can say for my set of standards.
Yeah, I agree. I think that's potential for now, even where you could feed it a document, if you will. Say, read this and then help me understand if I'm appropriate or not. But a purpose-built agent that's a little more defined. It's like writing a good prompt, but purpose-built agent is a much better prompt.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's it for me. Yes, sir.
More of a confirmation for everybody, but AI Hub, is it available on SaaS?
Not yet.
Right.
Not yet. It is not. We're working on a potential managed service offering, which is SaaS-like, right? It's not out yet, but that's something we're looking at as potential to alleviate that as a SaaS-like option, but it's not yet there yet. Could be soon. Tease. A little bit of a tease, yeah. Okay.
Any more for Jim on AI? Okay, thank you very much, Jim.
I'm between now and lunch, so thank you.
Jim's managed to give us back 15 minutes. Thank you very much. So as lunch will be served at 12:30, we'd like you, if possible, to go outside on the patio and get a nice group photograph, if that's agreeable to anybody. So we'll do that before lunch, and then we'll have lunch 12:30 to 1:30.